Good. How are you doing? Good.
I hope so, because I need to move a bunch of stuff out of my garage so that I can park in it. I have a 3-car garage. And Scott's truck is the only thing that fits in it. And move it.
Yep, I would definitely work on it on
I
Saturday.
have no excuse to not move stuff on Saturday. I need to. God, he was supposed to be home this weekend. Oh. Coach's life, back in action. I'm gonna crawl out of here so that Scott can make a decision. You guys are gonna have to have my cuts.
It's 5:30, so we'll call to order this meeting for Monday, October 17th. Jordan, would you start us off with a roll call?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Boberg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Rife.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup. Present. Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. First order of business will be to approve this week's agenda. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and second from Councilman Rife. Anyone have any changes? I was unaware of any, so I would, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we will approve our minutes from the last meeting, which was held on October 3rd. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
So approved.
Second.
A motion from Councilwoman Liebelt and a second from Councilman Reinbold. Any changes from the council on anything printed? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got our open forum where we've got one speaker here today. Remind you that the open forum provides an opportunity for the public to address the city council with questions, concerns, items, and it's not necessarily a time for feedback, but it's definitely time to take in the feedback that we're given. So Jeff Hayes, we've got, there you are. Jeff, welcome to the meeting. Appreciate you coming in today. Make sure that the little green light is on, if you would, and that's the only way we'll be able to hear you. When we say,
Do I push a button?
yeah, it should be
Okay.
lit. So give us 3 to 5 minutes, if
Okay,
you'd be so kind.
Okay, so the reason I'm here, I am an owner of a commercial building on Main Street. And a little bit of backstory here. There's an apartment building that across the alleyway that the landlord has let them have dogs. Between animal control, the landlord and myself, we have been able to control 2 of those dogs so they're not going on my commercial property. There's still one tenant in there that between the landlord and animal control, what they do is they leash their dogs and come over to the boulevard to do their stuff. It's starting to kill the grass. It can't go through the winter doing that and stuff like that. So in the direction of talking to animal control, they directed me to another city official. And much to my surprise, the city official told me, well, we're not going to enforce that. It's not worth the court's time. I was really shocked by that, even though there's an ordinance that says they can't urinate or anything on city or on the boulevard. And that's why I can't do anything about it, you know. But I'm doing I feel I'm doing my part in trying to keep care of it, you know, watering it and all this and that. But if it keeps going on all winter, it's going to cost me money to reseed it and everything like that. So I just think that the city council needs to enforce the enforcer to enforce this ordinance to do it. I did bring pictures if you guys wanted to see pictures. I have a 24/7, eight cameras recording all the time.
Wow.
The latest time that this happened was at 2:58 this afternoon. You know, but I didn't get that on these pictures here, but I got it from the 1st of October. You know, it's a pretty good stack here, you know. and then you can see how the grass is just killing. Now, I'm not after the dogs that come by, cause there's a fire hydrant there, they do their thing, they move on, that's fine, I expect that. But when you have a dog leashed all the time, 3 to 7 times a day, going in the same spots all the time, I feel that's a problem. You know, and then, in talking with the landlord over there, he's warned them, animal control has warned them, but our hands are tied because it is city boulevard. So we need to have the city enforce that.
Where is this, Jeff?
It's on South Main Street.
Yeah, where is this, Jeff?
801, 803 South Main.
Okay,
So right across from the Pheasant Brewery right there.
right.
So,
And if you would bring those
Yep.
pictures, I'd be happy to
I
take a
would
look.
love to.
Maybe also jot down your email address so
Mhm.
we can have a bit of a,
so I mean, so this is not a he said, she said situation. I mean, I got it all on camera right here. So who do I hand these to?
is there a way you could jot down your, well, actually, I'll pass this back to you and then maybe jot down, or you've got his email? I'll get it from Ron then after the meeting. We'll continue this discussion. Jeff, thanks for bringing it to our
Okay.
attention.
So I just think it needs to be enforced since it's on the books. I mean, I've done everything diplomatically that I can. Animal control, the city official. I know I can't name names, you know, at this forum and stuff like that, so.
Sure.
my
Yeah,
hands
it's
are tied.
discouraging. We'll see if we can't figure something out that'll help that situation. Sounds like everybody's trying and
We're
just,
trying and trying, even the landlord too, and he's at wit's end. He says, I don't know what else to do, so,
thank you very much, Jeff.
okay.
I'll get your email address from Ron and we'll. Next item on our agenda is our consent calendar where we've got 5 items of routine city business, including license, lottery notices, hearing date, as well as a couple of audit acceptances. Can I get a motion to approve our consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Northrup. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We've got one item in our old business category here today. It's the possible second reading and final adoption of ordinance labeled 221001, which supplements our 2022 budget for Parks, Rec, and Forestry Department activities. Jordan?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of a transfer and supplement ordinance for the Parks and Rec Department. It's the third request of the year for that department. There have been no changes since the first reading.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Any questions for our city finance manager or anything from the council before we take our final votes? Jordan, would you go ahead with the roll call, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, in our new business, we've got a possible first reading of ordinance labeled 221005, which supplements the 2022 budget for various unanticipated projects, activities, and expenses. Jordan, what about this one?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the first supplement and transfer request for government-wide operations for the city in 2022. It includes a wide variety of activities that were either unbudgeted and unanticipated, or where revenue sources were not included in the original budget, such as CARES funds that was in reserve. We'll typically do a number of these through the course of the year, but with the turnover in our office, this is just a little bit delayed getting to you, but here it is, and staff recommends approval. I would note also that we did restore a little contingency to this budget. The number matches the 2023 budget amount. We don't intend to use it. It's simply there if we need it for that final meeting in December.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronayne and a second from Councilman Reif. Any questions from the city on this first reading? Hearing none. Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our possible approval of a 2022 budgeted transfer between funds as needed and provided for in ordinance 210902, which is labeled the 2022 annual appropriation. Jordan, tell us about this one, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the part of the 2022 budget ordinance. It includes several transfers of funds between funds within our government, and it allows us to execute the budget. They're all provided for within the ordinance that we approved last fall. Staff recommends approval.
Moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Any questions for Jordan on this one? Go ahead, Josh.
Jordan, why do we need to approve this if it's budgeted?
So the budget authorizes the expenditure of funds, but in order to transfer those funds, we need to get approval within that budget year.
Thanks.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote on that item, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Nordstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our possible approval of a resolution titled 22-1001R, which establishes a consolidated board of equalization pursuant to the SDCL and designates a member and an alternate member of the city council to serve on that consolidated board of equalization from a period of April through May of 2023. And last year, that was myself and Clint. I'd be happy to do it again unless there's two other interested parties on the council.
I heard you did a great job, and I think you should have to do it again.
Sounds great. No, it was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I would imagine.
I learned a lot about how they define the processes, at least, so that was a good thing. And,
I would volunteer to be your second.
all right. Sounds good. So if that works for everybody, I would do it, and Councilman Ronayne would do it. I would take a motion to approve those two appointments.
I will move to approve that.
And I'd second that.
That sounds good. Got a motion from Councilwoman Langer and a second from Councilwoman Liebelt. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next, we've got our public hearing and possible approval of Resolution 22-1002R, which approves leases of the airport hangar areas to private persons for a period of 5 years, beginning in 2023. Joe, will you kick this off? Or, go ahead, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is this cumbersome process that the city needs to follow in order to lease real property for a period of 5 years, or for a period longer than a year, or in excess of $500. So the council last meeting, September 22nd, 2022, adopted a resolution of its intent to lease these hangar areas to various private persons. And that notice of hearing was published on October 17th. This is now the time and place for the hearing to approve the leases. Forms of the leases were provided as part of the agenda packet. I've heard no comments, no objections from any of the impacted tenants or lessees, so I would ask that the council approve the resolution and we can conclude these matters.
Move to approve this resolution.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Does anyone have any questions for our city attorney on these series of leases? Well, it was controversial than the last airport lease, I feel like.
That's right.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Abstain.
Langer,
Aye.
Nordstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our public hearing, as well as a possible approval of a special one-day liquor license for the Aberdeen Downtown Association and community event permit for the Oktoberfest, which will be held in the Civic Arena on November 5th. No one, does anyone from the crowd here to speak on that? All right. Well, seeing no one, I would take a motion. If someone from the council was interested.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Ronayne. Any discussion on this one-day liquor license event permits? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Next is our possible approval to proceed with an FAA grant application, a request for the federal assistance, and authorize the city manager to sign the required documents to execute that grant award and offer from the Federal Aviation Administration and state agreement with the DOT Aeronautics for the runway pavement rehabilitation and lighting improvements. Rich, you're always busy out there.
So this one actually we brought to you before, but the FAA wanted this split out because some of this is gonna be AIP money and some of it's gonna be bill money. So of that, AIP money is $111,111.10, and bill money is $1,728,888.90, and total cost of $2,840,000. And 90% of that is federal, 6.5 state, and 3.5 local. So it's very little on our part, but this is a project for 2023, and we're asking for city manager's authorization to sign all documents going forward relating to this project.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson, and a second from Councilman Rife. Any questions for Transportation Director Rich Krokel while he's here?
I'm sticking around.
All right, well then, Jordan, would you give us a roll call on that one, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Boberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our possible approval of payments for the work on our airport. We've got payment number 35 for the taxiway geometry to Helms and Associates for the amount of $27,961.41. We've got payment number 9 for taxiway geometry as well to Sharp Enterprises for $30,540.37. We've got payment 19 for our GA apron reconstruction project to Helms for $21.27.11. And lastly, we have payment number 1 for the runway rehab and light project to Helms for $9,983.92. Rich?
Yep, so I'll go over these individually. So 7G1, I must have left that on the printer. I'll do it from memory. So this is for taxiway geometry improvements. This is engineering and on-site observation by the on-site engineer. That would be payment 35. Payment number 9 is Sharp Enterprises work completed to date, and that is for seating. Payment number 19, GA apron reconstruction, that's design work. And payment number 1 is design work for runway 1331 rehabilitation and lighting project coming up next year. And we're asking for city manager to sign for all project documents going forward.
Move to approve all 4 payments.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from Councilman Reinbold. Any questions from the council?
You know, I do have one, if I may,
Go ahead,
Mayor. Thank
Councilman.
you. Rich, I see in the list of bills that we have, which I don't think you necessarily see at the end of our agenda, but there's a like payment to Sharp Enterprises. Is that the same payment, or are we paying them $61,000 this month? Or do you happen to know?
I wonder if that got rolled in from last month, Jordan.
We're checking on that.
Well, maybe all I want to know is we're not going to send them 2 checks, are we?
No, this would, the bills presented on the agenda are also provided for sometimes through the bill payment method. They're the same batch, but.
Okay, but only pay it once.
Correct.
Yeah, I paid a bill twice last month. It was a bad idea.
Was it to Sharp Enterprises?
Thank you.
Jordan, would you give us a roll call, please?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry.
Thank you,
Next,
Council.
yeah, thank you very much for joining us, Rich. Next, we've got our recommendation to award the bid for the City Hall chiller replacement to CDJ Electric Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $113,384, as well as to authorize the manager and finance officer to sign those documents after approval by our city's attorney. Robin, what can you tell us about that?
We had a lot of interest from our local mechanical folks, 5 bids, which is very good. Highly competitive process, and I thought we were bidding it plenty early, and after we got digging a little deeper, we found out that there was 40 weeks expected delay just to receive the equipment. So we won't get this until sometime in July. So we're gonna have to limp along the air conditioning for part of another season. The contractor's confident he can get it done during an off time, so we don't have to have staff live with a few very uncomfortable days here in July. But we recommend approval of the bid to CDJ. They've done some work in town, and our mechanical engineer recommends approval of it, as do we.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reif and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. Any questions for Mr. Bob Zine?
I have one on this as well. Robin, what was the story on the bid for $500,000 for this? I see that your first bid from Redlinger was $500,000 with a modification.
No, they actually, they throw in a bid just as a placekeeper, and the way mechanical bids are oftentimes done, they have a bid modification that you can fax in right before the bid. A lot of times you can't get really good materials costs on copper, things like that, for the electrical, for mechanical type stuff, for piping. So they will give you an initial price. Redlinger does it just a little bit different. They throw something in that's plenty high, and then they modify it down, which they got it back in the ballpark, but that scared the dickens out of me when we opened bids. That was the first bid we opened, so.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
How do you weigh the location of the bidder in the bid process?
There is no bid process, there's no process available to us through state law that allows us to differentiate a community against another. There is a process state to state. If another state penalizes bidders in South Dakota, then we may apply the same penalty against those bidders. But city to city, there is no low bid meeting specification is what we have to go with.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the council? Jordan, would you go ahead with the roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
abstain.
Norvstrup,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our possible approval of change order number 1 in the amount of $47,721.54, as well as a payment request number 2 in the amount of $216,330.47 to Dami Construction for our South Roosevelt Street sanitary sewer improvements. Robin, tell us about that one.
Thankfully, we have the pipe in now. That's what this payment is for, is basically for the piping that was installed in the last week and a half or so. The change order, some of those things was basically due to the fact that we had to do an extensive amount of dewatering. There will be another change order I would expect coming up, and you will see that this project will not close out until next year because we did do temporary paving. We do expect some settlement. We don't want to put brand new concrete pavement on top of this area that is likely going to have some form of settlement, and probably we'd be redoing it all over again. So we recommend approval as presented here, knowing that there will be some more payments to be made and another change order to be presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Ronan and a second from Councilman Norvstrup. Any questions for our city engineer on this one? Oh, go ahead. Sorry about
How
Councilman?
soon do you expect to get started in the spring, summer?
Depends on what we're seeing for settlement, but I wanna have this done before school starts next fall, as far as the high school
Okay.
stuff. So that would be our objective, is to make sure that's done, so we don't snarl traffic up again for the first month or two.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Jordan?
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Boberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shonneman.
Aye, motion does carry. Next, we've got our review and approvals of the claims. Our bill list in this packet is for the week of October 17th. You may abstain from a particular item if you wish. Can I get a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Johnson and a second from, who was first?
Johnson was
Okay,
first. I was
and a
second.
second from Councilman Reinbold. Got ahead of myself there. Jordan, would you go ahead with our final roll call vote of the evening?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Boberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup, Mayor Shonneman.
Abstain, but the motion does carry. Next, we've got our city manager's report with Joe Gah. Joe, what have you got for us?
Thank you, Mayor. Some good news and recognitions today. First of all, our streets crew and public works started this morning paving, some temporary paving, as you heard Robin mention, on Roosevelt. And if you were down there this afternoon, it was a dusty mess as they swept. And they actually opened Roosevelt about 4:30 this afternoon. So, yes, so everyone, yes, for those folks in that district especially. I was kind of jokingly said it. I've been doing this a while now, and I don't remember ever being asked about when is the street going to open as much as I've been asked about Roosevelt. So that's good news. And thanks to our crew, they really went at it pretty quick today and got at it. So that was good. Also, thanks to the CVB, they were out at the airport the end of last week, over the weekend, welcoming hunters to town, and they did a nice job with that. There was also a nice story about them on the news, so that was good. And then my last thing, a shout out to the Aberdeen Central girls soccer team. They made it to state and placed second in the tournament. It was a hard-fought game, and they did a nice job, and they're excited about next year, I hear. So several employees have children on that team, so I got caught up on soccer this year. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Joe. With that, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilman Reinbold and a second from Councilman Rowe.
Mr. Mayor, I think we have a couple guests that were hoping to speak, but maybe they missed their window in the blue polos.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
we've got a few minutes for you. What have you got? We'll treat this the same how about as our public open forum at the beginning of the meeting. Give yourself 3 to 5 minutes and make sure the little green light is on.
Push it. There we go. I'm Kevin Haar, Vice President of Masonic Building Committee, and we would like to put new windows in our Masonic Hall down here. We've got 96 windows that need replaced. We're in the historical district. We're having quite a problem with that. We want to take the sashes out of these windows, just the glass, and put a plastic insert in there. The Masonic Committee state tells us we got to put a wooden one back. That puts the cost at $145,000 just for the windows, and another $83,000 to $100,000 to put them in. The window that we chose is the Anderson plastic window. That would be a colonial style window that would represent the same style the window that's in it on the front. And we'd put them in on the south. That window is just a 3x4 sheet of glass, but they'd all be the same window. And we would line this, the windows are about 1 foot deep, the wood. We'd leave all that in there and it's stuccoed in. We don't want to disturb that. We would cover that wood up with an aluminum sheet and slide this plastic insert in there, screw it in, and we would have our window project done for $55,000 with the windows and $83,000 to put it in. We've got enough money to do this, but we don't have enough money to do it the way the Historical Society wants it done. So we're asking permission to put this plastic window in that building. And it would look very much the same as what's there. It wouldn't take away from the building characteristic at all. And we wouldn't be disturbing any of the building at all. It looked pretty much the same as it was. The windows are painted black, but we're gonna put the white back on there, aluminum. The original windows were white. And then they added a storm window of aluminum window. They'd be coming off, taking it back to the original look. And the old storm windows are rotted. They would be discarded. And we would have a virtually new style window in there. The problem with the building right now is we can't afford the heat. It's over $20,000 to heat it this winter. I'm afraid with the last winter was 12. And these windows let a lot of cold air in the winter and a lot of hot air in the summer. So we'd like to replace it with an insulated glass, double glass window that looked like was there. So I've been working with the city on this to get a building permit to do it. And I was told to come tonight and run it by you, and maybe there's something you could do to help us out.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you coming and bringing this to our attention. Brett, is there a process for bypassing the Historic Society's requirement?
There is a process. Since the Masonic Lodge is a historical structure and it's within a historical district, they have to go through the process of going through the State Historical Society for their yay or nay. It comes back to the council. You have the final say on whether they can do what they're requesting. We've had several of these come through before. Staff has submitted the information to the state. We have just recently received it back. It'll be on the agenda probably next week is going to be my guess.
And the State Historical Society was okay with
State Historical Society was not okay, which they never are. They never are.
So what is the benefit as an entity that's not paying property tax on a facility? What is the benefit of having it on the State Historic Registry in the first place?
In essence, it's just because it's part of a historical district. It benefits everybody within the district. Now, the way we're seeing it as staff, we see that it's not going to have any negative impact, especially the type of windows they're going to use and the look of the windows. It's not going to have a negative impact on the building or on the district itself. So when you receive this in your packet, you'll see that staff is going to recommend approval of this and go against the wishes of the State Historical Society. We've done this in the past. Just because the state has to stick to their guns because that's what they do. I mean, they're historical people. They try and do that. And we try and look at it as it's more of a big picture thing, not only cost-wise, which we don't try not to look at as an issue, but we can look at the windows or whatever else they're going to do the structure and see that it's not going to harm, the historical impact.
So they were opted into the historic designation of this facility, or they just
all Main Street is.
Oh,
it's a district. The whole thing was in district it's been there for many years, long before I ever got here.
So, okay. Sounds good, Brett. I appreciate the insight on the thing. And what was your name again?
Kevin Haar.
Kevin. Appreciate you coming in and visiting with us about it. Got to jump on the agenda item. It sounds like it's something that we'll be discussing as a council, so we really appreciate you coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Foberg, for being so astute as to draw our attention to the people in the back
new
that
friends
aren't
in the
normally
audience.
here.
I figured they were here for a reason.
And with that, I would, all in favor of adjourning this meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We are adjourned. Thank you much.